This is how it finished then, 2-1 to the visitors. Let's get some post-match reaction from Munich.
This, I'd imagine, is the kind of day that you dream about as a coach. How is it in reality?
Yeah, it was the headline of the meeting before the game, and the headline was, "We want to create a day to remember, where we meet in 5-6 years, and when we meet, that you have some situations like this where the players and me say, do you remember the 24th of January 2026? Something happened there, and I think we created a day to remember."
A first Bundesliga defeat of the season is obviously going to hit everyone hard, I guess, on an emotional level. How did you see the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's hitting everyone on emotional. Let's not be over dramatic. I mean, it's football, it's life. We lost the game, and I think too often it's thought that the Bundesliga it's easy. It's not. And in a moment like this, it shows that every other point you got before, you had to fight for it, and it was an achievement. So for now, I think we have to congratulate Augsburg. I think they did a really good game there. I think the first half was quite stable from our side. It wasn't. It was the type of performance in the first half that could give you a win, and then you go home and you move on to the next game. But in the second half, we just weren't able to produce the same energy, and they became more dangerous, and therefore, won the game. And we have to congratulate them.
How the heck did this happen, Ali?
Well, I must say, if you watch the first half of Bayern Munich today against Augsburg, and towards the latter part of that first half, you were beginning to see that I believe Bayern Munich got bored. They got disinterested. It was all too easy to begin with, and it almost felt like they took it for granted, and again, they went on autopilot, and this is how we're going to win the game, and we're usually really good in second half, so we're going to explode, we'll score a couple of goals, they'll finish 3-0, we move on with our lives. This team is not good enough to really trouble us. Now, it's one thing that we may think that from the outside, but it's a completely different thing that this team actually, if you watch the second half, it felt like they truly believed that they were too good for Augsburg and they didn't have to show up, and they took it for granted and they were disinterested, and it was an indifferent performance in the second half. Now, as a manager, part of your job is to read that these things are about to happen. It's to smell that these things are potentially going to happen. And as I said, towards the end of the first half, you could see the interest of Bayern Munich disappearing from this game. They go into halftime, you're thinking, well, if you're Vincent Kompany, you go in there and say, hey, listen, we play to a certain standard and we evaluate ourselves and hold ourselves to our own standard, regardless of who's in front of us. We are not meeting that standard right now. Second half, we have to be better in this, and that. I don't know whether that was the message or not, but the second half came around and somebody unplugged this team. He talked about how there was no energy. Well, but why? Why is the reason that there is no energy, and can you not address it as a manager? Is this not something that can be addressed even going into the match? There's been signs of this coming for Bayern Munich, and it goes back to an initial point that we've talked about this team. They are in a class of their own in Bundesliga, and so they are the only team that can beat themselves. And that second half today was proof positive of what can happen when you're not actually engaged in the game. They were not engaged. It was a careless performance in the second half.
Yeah, no invincible season then, Jules.
No, not for them. I mean, it shows as well what Xabi Alonso and Bayer Leverkusen did 2 seasons ago was pretty special, right? Because even this team can't do it. But I completely agree with Ali. I thought exactly the same watching that game. I thought they took it for granted. They stopped playing. But Kompany said it in the interview with Archie just now. He said, this is the kind of game where, talking about the first half, with the first half you score and then you go home with a win and then you move on to the next game. Well, that's not good enough. And clearly tonight was not good enough, or this afternoon was not good enough. Again, his substitutions didn't work in that second half. They never really managed to get that energy back again, and they conceded a goal on set piece, which is what they are vulnerable at. Remember the game they drew at Union Berlin, for example, where it was a different game because they were away and they were more under pressure. But the 2 goals they conceded that day, 2 goals on set pieces, and that's something that they are vulnerable on. But I think he spoke straight after the game. I think tonight at home, rewatching the game, he'd be fuming because this is a game they should never lose.